But what is it about the car that does it for you as far as like, it's like that's your spot. Like for me, is sitting in a studio or sitting in one of these chairs. For you, it's just like the car. What is it about the car that just does it for you?
I'm gonna transition to the studio this year because we got a new place. But what happened is when you first started doing YouTube videos years ago in the car, I was a real estate agent, and then I was a property manager, so I had to go between two different property locations.
Oh, so it's
They made
convenience.
me go between two properties,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, then I would drive from Austin to like Killeen to go check on this property, and so it was like in the car was like this thing, and people like, man, Texas got great Wi-Fi. You drove all the way to Dallas doing a show, right?
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty insane.
And the thing of it is like I would just hop in the car and I'd be off a phone call or something. It'd be fresh on my mind. Like I got ADHD, so I have to write down notes. So when people are like, oh, I love the studio, I'm like, give me the mic. Let's
I
go.
can do it anywhere.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
I can
You
jump
know?
on a live stream anywhere. Yeah.
Because it's up here,
Yep.
and I'm just trying to transfer it out.
Yep.
But yeah, they be like, oh, car rant time, and I just be like, y'all don't know. I'll get off the phone with people. People will spend like $500 for 30 minutes phone call with me,
Yep.
and life be in shambles. And they be like, I need to turn around in 30 days. What?
Yeah.
Or I like the craziest part is out of all the phone calls I've done over the years, I think we've done 9,000 calls at this point.
Shh.
For real, like, and I blamed
That's
Dr.
a
Boyce at the
lot
beginning
of
of it.
calls.
And then what ends up happening is we had so many men. They'd be like, I didn't expect my wife to stay home after this baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm going crazy. I can't tell her I'm going crazy
Yeah.
because now I got to figure some new money.
Yep.
And so you would be in these conversations. You'd be like, you didn't think about that at all? No, not at all.
That's pretty insane.
And so that's the average person is they're just kind of doing life.
Yep.
And then something happened and they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I see a lot of guys. They start now. I'm starting to see it skew a little bit younger as far as guys. Seem like they starting to wake up a little bit earlier in life, and they saying, you know what, I want to start making money a little bit earlier and stuff like that. Right? When you see a lot of people moving to these cities, it seems like Houston is the spot, Atlanta is the spot, all over Florida, right? And then obviously we know it's a lot of people moving back and forth through Texas or whatever. A lot of these people, they wind up leaving these places in the same position or even worse than what it was when they got there. But for some reason, they think that it's a whole lot of opportunity, which I think it's a lot of opportunity
It's
too.
a ton of opportunity.
Right? But then what do you think is some of the main reasons why these people are not able to capitalize off of these opportunities, even though they are in the midst of all of the movers and shakers and it's a bunch of people with opportunities? Why don't you think that people in a lot of instances are able to capitalize off of these markets and these opportunities?
Man, it's three things. And I call it's a theory, but like there's kind of like at our church they talk about it's something about 32, right? Men hit 32, it's like you was cute, but now potential ain't cute. Like you need to have a plan,
Yeah.
right? And the only reason I agree with that 32 is when I did O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel, and I worked with a credit repair partner. It was like 90% of the men, they were like 6'5", 6'2", and they're all the same time when they did their intake call, they're like, look, I met this new woman. And I can't live in my mama's no more. I can't drive her car no more. I'm really serious about getting my credit right.
Yeah.
And it would be always like 31 to 33.
Yep.
And so something about 32, people realize they need to transition, but they don't know how.
Okay.
The second factor on that is, and we have to be careful how we say this, but low vibration. Your family just chilling.
Yeah.
They just doing cookouts on the weekend. They make life look easy because they in their 40s and 50s. They've been doing this for a long time. They probably got a house somewhere, right? You're in your 20s. You move to a new city. It's so much going on. You want to go out every night. You want to do all that stuff. But you didn't realize you don't have the skills or the job to do so.
Yeah.
When I first came to Austin, I was working apartment management, billings manager, and I was delivering pizzas at night. And I went over to Lowe's.
You
I
was
said,
hustling. You was
man, I was
getting
doing too much. I was doing too much. And I remember this young black man at Lowe's, and he was like, yo, I'm studying for this tech. I'm studying for this tech book. And I was like, okay, what's that going to do? He said, this white guy at work told me about it, and I'm going to try to get over there. Man, that kid's a director now. I think it's been like 7 years now since I worked there. Kid's a director. Directors make $240,000 a year.
They do.
And he young. And so when I tell people it's the lack of exposure, so you go to Atlanta, you want to hang out all night, but you ain't making 220.
Yeah.
You ain't making 180. You're not even a travel nurse. What skills do you have? That's why, again, New Yorkers and California people get mad at me because I be ragging on them. But if you a receptionist in New York making 25 an hour,
You're not living.
you
You can't survive.
you gonna come down to Atlanta.
Yep.
They paying you $12. Then you get mad and call it slave wages. You don't have any skills.
Yep.
I can put a 15-year-old at a phone.
Yeah, that's true.
I can put a
That is
14-year-old
absolutely
at a
true.
phone.
It's so much money out here, though.
And
E.
so the problem is they see the life, but the gap is so big. And they be like, oh, Atlanta's hustle culture. I ain't got time for this hustle culture. It's not a hustle culture if you have a skill.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened to me. As soon as I literally was at my job, a guy came in and was like, you can just own the painting company and send out the workers to do the work. I said, show me. He showed me. I immediately called my friend Andrew. We call him on my channel, Mr. 10,000 Doors.
Mm-hmm.
He knocked 10,000 doors.
I've seen him on your channel before. Yeah.
White dude,
Yeah.
bald head. And so he was like, that's it? That's all we got? I was like, that's all we got to do. That painting company, that year we made $325. And it was just off of talking to one person who was not even a year or two older than me. It was like, girl, just do this. And so when I talk about service businesses and people are like, oh, service businesses, I'm like, if you got the people that will work, man.
It's hard to convince people to actually do the thing that's in their best interest sometimes. It's almost like it seemed like they had to suffer a little bit or a life event got to happen, similar to what you just said, where they'd be like, oh, I didn't know my girl was going to be,
I didn't know she was going to stay home. I didn't know daycare cost as much. You didn't at all.
Yeah.
You had 9 months to
It's
Google.
crazy because I'm at the point in my life where now I don't even, some of the businesses that I wind up starting come as a result of that I don't have the capacity to even take on some of the opportunities. Bless you. I don't have the capacity to take on some of the opportunities that even come my way. I have to turn them down. So then I have to create the infrastructure to where maybe I capture some of that stuff through a business or putting other people in a position and then get that bag. But it's so much opportunity and money, and I just don't understand how these people are going to these cities, which I travel a lot, so I then get the opportunities because I network a lot. But I don't see how these people are not getting the opportunities by A, developing a skill, and then B, capitalizing off of the mentorship that they now have available at their fingertips that their parents didn't have. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have the mentorship and all of that stuff, right?
But also, didn't our parents, when they left the house, dress like they got some sense?
They did.
People don't want to hear this part.
You talk about that a lot, too.
People really want to hear this. I went to a church. I was visiting churches when I first moved to Austin. And I was there. I was like there maybe the third week. I didn't have a job. And people were offering me jobs left and right. I'm like, oh my God, like this is crazy. This is a crazy city. I'm at the church, dressed in, going to church. This white man's like, well, can you do phones? I was thinking, man, he better offer me something low. He's like, well, we got a sales company and you can do about $70K a year. Is that a good for you?
Yeah.
Like he felt like he was insulting me. He was like, it's just $70K. I know you just moved here. Like he felt bad offering me $70K a year job. I was like, what?